Welcome to the Pharma Source podcast. On today's podcast, I'm with Bayer's Luiz Barberini, who leads external manufacturing for consumer health in Latin America for Bayer. And with over 30 years experience in logistics, supply chain, procurement and demand planning, we're going to have a great conversation today about how you go about doing that. Luiz, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much, Luke. Thank you for the opportunity to spread Bayer's word on external manufacturing and some concepts that are very key to me.
Absolutely. To start off then, it'd be great to, I think, just get a bit of an overview of your career so far, particularly the work that you've done over the years within some pretty big pharma companies, because not just Bayer, of course, you've also worked at Pfizer, Merck, and many others. Talk us through it, please.
Yeah. Okay. So it's a long career. I'd say around 30 years since I graduated from engineering school. And I've worked on Ronnie Poulain for chemicals long time ago. And then I've moved to British American Tobacco Company as a procurement manager for a couple of years as well. And then I stepped into the pharma work, right? I started at Pfizer, managing logistics, distribution, cold chain, and several other areas. And then I worked on a local packaging company for a few months, which is a local familiar company that has helped me in better understanding how those smaller companies works. So it's very interesting to have this perspective as well. And then I've worked for Nycomed Pharma, that has turned into Takeda Pharma here in Brazil, Merck as well. And then since 10 years ago, I've moved to Bayer. And I'm currently managing the CMOs for consumer health division that we have in Brazil, Argentina, and Colombia.
Great.
Besides that, in a parallel career, I would say, I've developed myself into some certifications and graduations, starting from APICS, now the ASCM. So I just got the CSCP and the CPIM certifications, which are very nice to give you to help in even having a broader overview of the whole supply chain, right? I got my master's, and as a result, I teach supply chain here in Brazil since, I would say, 15 years ago on major universities like Fundação Getúlio Vargas and Instituto Mauá and the business school, São Paulo Business School, where I teach supply chain concepts and quality, negotiation, and some other ones.
So on that then, what perspective does that give you, having to go and teach these concepts?
This is it's a two-way conversation with the students. You, of course, you give them some real world facts and how things works on major companies, but also you take some very nice experiences. You got some information on how other companies works. It's a terrific place for benchmarking, right? So it's very interesting to have these insights on different ways of working. So I really like to teach and to share some experience on that. And in fact, it's a quite different way because the academic world, it's very I would say it's very formal, and I use a different approach, bringing experience and how things works on a real company to the students. And it's very peculiar the way that they receive that and say, hey, we have the same issues in my company. All right, so let's now check on, academically speaking, how to solve that. And then we go through some discussions on this point. And also, this has also driven me to another activity, which is the seminars that I used to talk at. So I join 8 to 10 seminars and different summits through the year, speaking about external manufacturing, logistics, cold chain, and some topics on procurement as well, which is
Mm.
also a very good experience.
Interesting. Your experience does cover, obviously, specializing in areas like procurement, supply chain, external manufacturing. How do you see all those different functions or sometimes departments? How do they all fit together? I mean, what's the best way for procurement, external manufacturing, supply chain to collaborate and work together?
Even today, most companies work in silos.
Mm,
It's not so good to admit that, but the SNOP concept has come in order to make different areas to better interact between themselves and turn everything into a more collaborative way.
mhm,
So, but even today, some areas they have those different targets. I would say procurement has a cost reduction target of 5%.
sure.
That's great, right? And I would say the production has a target of inventory reduction of 10%, right?
Mm,
Sometimes those targets they are not complementary, but they compete between themselves. And those different areas they are looking into their own silos. Say, hey, I have this target, and we don't have a company target, which
mhm,
would be to improve our effectiveness in I don't know how much. So it's time to different areas to stop competing against other ones. And this competition does not happen in an open perspective. Sometimes they say, hey, we are one team, we are working together. Yes,
mm,
but we still have different targets. So uh, many companies are having this alignment right now. They're having a better perspective and alignment on final targets. Of course, focusing on customers. This is critical as well.
mm,
But when I say that those targets are competitive, even more in smaller companies, right? So all this experience has given me the ability to understand that those different areas they complement themselves.
mhm,
So supply does need procurement to help them. Procurement does need quality to 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 provide a full compliant product, right? And this will of course reduce costs on write-offs and rejections and blah blah blah. Okay,
mhm,
so it's important to have all these perspectives together. Regulatory affairs, they should understand that hey, there's a long way on supply and delivering the product. So I need to find ways to have a better time to market perspective. Okay, so this is very important to have. This is something that only with some experience of with some guidance one can understand that all of these things interact deeply between themselves.
In your experience, Lewis, is there a framework or a collaboration model for internal collaboration that you would recommend? I mean, how do you try to bring all these different departments together on the same journey?
I was very lucky to join Merck a few years ago, and we've developed this model that has proven itself as a very good one. We have in this model we have external manufacturing managing our suppliers in a virtual team basis. You
Hmm.
know, so in this model that has been replicated into Bayer, we have external manufacturing leading procurement, technical, quality, and supply chain areas.
Mhm.
This is a virtual team. They have their own organizations, but we get together and we manage the suppliers together. This, of course, in a short-term perspective, in a daily basis. You know, on a long-term perspective, procurement owns the suppliers. They manage the suppliers in terms of their overall deliverables, their overall performance, and of course, contracts and codes and everything. But on a daily basis, external manufacturing put all these small parts together. And we have the guys from technical team talking with supply and say, hey, we have this new product about to be launched. what's the timeline that we are going to have,
Mm,
and so we can be better prepared to to the next steps we must take. Uh, it's a matter not of being too much technical, not to be much on planning process, but making this part or making these areas talking each other. You know, they should talk to each other. Like if you don't have someone to, I would say, to orchestrate that, sometimes it doesn't work. And
mm,
that's why sometimes we are about to launch some product and say, hey, no one has checked for blah, blah, blah this before. Oh, yes, I thought that you were about to do that. No, I thought that you were supposed to do that.
mm,
And then it's a miscommunication problem,
mm,
right?
mm.
So when you can better orchestrate these different areas, tasks, and activities, the results comes in a very good way.
Where does the customer fit within that? Is there a particular way that you like to bring the supplier relationship model into this framework?
Yeah, for sure. I used to say, long story short, my internal customer is supply chain.
Hmm.
Okay, people don't like all that too much. Say, hey, you're always focusing on supply. Yeah, but we must remember that supply represents the customer, final customer.
Mm,
Supply chain aligns the customer's perspective and demands with marketing and sales in a S&OP process. After that, all that the marketing demands and all that sales expect to have as results comes to supply chain. So they are the voice of what the marketing is demanding.
hmm.
That's why I tend to focus on supply chain as my internal customer.
Okay.
So I do have to make other areas, technical quality, procurement, uh, regulatory affairs, package development, working together in terms of delivering what supply chain has demanded us, right?
Mm,
This I would say, in a smaller perspective. In a broader perspective, of course, the customer leads the relationship and leads the marketing. So we must be prepared to deliver whatever the market needs. This means that we must be very fast to the market. We must answer to the market demands in a very quick way,
mm,
because everything changes too rapidly, you know, and things are changing very fast. We must be adapted to that,
hmm,
right?
hmm.
Well, I even say that, you know, Michael Porter's concept of the four P's have changed to the four C's. I don't
Okay.
know if you've heard about that
No,
before.
no.
No.
What are they?
So yeah, the four P's that we are used to know have changed it to communication, customer convenience, and the last one that I always forget. It's uh, cost of opportunity. You
Mm,
know, so it means that we are not talking about the product, but the customer is the
hmm.
point. We used to
Yep.
talk about products. Now we must focus on customer and customer needs. And this the placement has been replaced by convenience, where the customer gets the product they needs in the better way that suits them.
Mm, mm,
This means having products quick to the market in different channels of sales. That saying that probably I have to change my packaging to better deliver to customers. So uh, we as organizations and represented by supply chain, we do need to change the way that we do our business in order to get to the customer in a quick way, delivering whatever they needs.
How do you do that then, Lewis? Because traditionally the pharma industry doesn't move fast, and it can take a long time to move manufacturing from one country, one site to another, for example. I mean, how do you do it?
Look, you have a very good review of this for sure. We are planning to have one product moved from one country to the other one, and the first timelines of this project uh, has driven us to have the full project delivered by 2032. I say, guys, this is unacceptable.
My math isn't that good, but that's what, 8 years?
8 years, 8 years. And I told them, guys, the Americans have put a man in the moon in shorter time than that, 50 years ago,
Mm,
with no computers. And you're telling me that you take 8 years to have some medicine in some on drugstores in Argentina in 8 years.
wow.
So this answers your question. The point here is we need to change our mindset. We need to change the way we do our business. We need to keep demanding from health agencies that, hey, we do need to be more agile. If it takes, I would not say 8 years, but 2 years to get to the market will change in 2 years. If I have a
Mm,
business case, prepare it right now, it will be completely different within 2 years. I'll have more concurrency. I'll have other competitors in the market. I'll have new medicines. So maybe in 2 years, this is not going to happen. So I used to say that within our companies, when we decide to launch a new product and we decide to go to the market and developing suppliers and signing the contracts and blah blah blah, it takes some time.
mm,
From our business case presentation to the board until we start delivering things, it takes years. So I used to say that when we start delivering, we need to do an autopsis in our process and look back and say, why did we take all that long to launch that?
mhm.
What has changed from our hypothesis from the beginning? And how can we better do that for the next 5 or 10 years? Of course, this is a long-term planning. I'm looking back 5 years in order to look forward for the next 5 years. But only doing like that, the companies will change. Bayer has started something on that with our DSO, the dynamic shared ownership process or
Okay.
program, which targets to work in smaller groups in a very quick and concise way, giving autonomy to those groups to make decisions and trying to work in 90-day cycles, meaning,
Mm,
okay, if I have a problem, it must be solved within 90 days, right? It's a different way of thinking.
yeah.
Moreover, for a German, very orthodox pharmaceutical company.
It sounds more like something from the world of technology where it's more done in well,
Hmm.
mind you, in tech, the sprints would usually be, in weekly cycles, perhaps, but even so.
Yeah, yeah, but we can work on weekly cycles. It's too much for us. So let's take one piece at a time, right?
Mm,
But I think that one very important point here, it's not about the process changing or what's engaged on the customer or consumer or market, but the most important point here is the people that are involved in that.
mhm,
You know, we are receiving the Z generation into our business right now. And these guys, they are brilliant. They think in a very
mm,
different way that you and myself, we don't think like that.
mhm.
And just a quick example, this other day, someone asked this young guy for 50 sheets of paper,
Okay.
white paper for some exercise. You know, he printed 50 sheets of paper in blank.
Mm.
It's the easiest way to count 50 sheets of paper. We would ever think about that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so companies, they're being challenging today uh, to be prepared to receive different mindsets and to keep alive, to keep our business running with a completely different mindset
Mm.
doing the business. This is the point, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I think that the challenge that we have today is to keep the basic concepts of supply chain alive, but looking for different alternatives to have it done, to make
Mm,
it work, using different people. One of the most interesting concepts of supply chains that it's composed by a triangle of process, people, and technology.
mm,
So we do need to review our processes based on the new technology and with the help of the new people that is coming to the market. So, I mean, we will have to review all our supply in terms of how to reach markets.
Mhm, mhm.
Very complex for a Wednesday like today in the middle of
Yeah,
the week, right? So we have a lot to think to the week.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
On that point, how do you go about trying to get the right balance between, yes, technology has lots of promises using AI and automation, but it's also obviously still important to keep people at the center of it and those human relationships. What are your thoughts on that, on how to get the right balance between the people and the technology?
I like very much that Walt Disney movie from Wall-E. You
Mm,
remember that? The little
yeah.
robot movie? Yeah. So he has all the technology, but he's differentiated because he also brings the human perspective. So this is not an easy question. I would say
Mm.
this is a 10 billion.
Yeah, it's the big challenge, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a big challenge, but we do need to use all the technology, but also bringing the human perspective into this equation, uh, keeping the relationships and trying to engage people into those topics. So
Mm,
one must remember that when we talk about artificial intelligence, so this is being spread away very, very quickly, but artificial intelligence, it's artificial, okay? It's a kind of intelligence, but it's artificial. We must remember that we have nine kinds of different intelligence: the emotional, the mathematical intelligence, the logical, and okay, we have to balance all of that. But the human perspective must be kept alive.
mm,
So I'd say that and this is one of the reasons that we are moving and changing the way that we are working today. When we talk about 90-day cycle, it's because we have different people into this equation. So we do need to change that. So I would say that we have this huge challenge in terms of changing our supply chain based on the different uh, people that we are embracing,
mhm,
right?
mhm.
And we also need to understand these people, to understand different mindsets and different cultures. So can you imagine this is a kind of matrix of multi-layer perspectives that encompass education, character, different nationalities, different cultures, different religions, and everything.
Mm.
So one format that we have here in Brazil, one answer that we have may not be the same to be used in Ukraine. I have colleagues in Ukraine. I have colleagues in Thailand. Wow. So some answers that we have today and some process that we've adopted here, they are not the
Mm.
same for these other countries. So we must be very
Yeah.
careful in believing that one solution does not fit all. One solution must uh, consider the human perspective and be applied into the technology to
Yeah.
get the best answer.
Which is a challenge for multinational companies. Take there, for
Yes,
example,
for sure.
run out of Germany, and you're trying to create, I suppose, these central programs, whether that's a network optimization program or whatever it is. How do you try and find the balance between what's coming out of the center and how you make it relevant, not just for a continent, but I suppose if you were to break LATAM down, you've got many, many different cultures and countries. How do you do that balance between the global and the local?
We are just going through this process, and we've moved the former global external manufacturing area into regions.
Mm,
So this helps in better understand the regional demand for services that we have. So what the demands and the way of working that we have here in Brazil, it's quite different from what we have in US, in
mm,
Italy, or in China. You know?
In what way? What are those cultural differences which people may not be aware of?
Oh, wow. The way that we do business, the way that we approach customers, the way that we sell our products.
Hmm.
One country might be more aggressive in selling the concept or the product itself. The other ones does not accept that, you know. So some cultures say, okay, you're trying to fool me by saying that this product is better than the other one. I'm not stupid. I can read the specifications on that.
Hmm.
Hey, it's not like this. I'm not talking like that. But if you use the same approach, it's not going to work, right?
Hmm.
Uh, some cultures, even here in Latin America, some different countries, they have their own pride, uh, products or business or so.
Sure.
So if you downgrade some products or if you look down for something, it might be offensive. So it's important to understand that.
Hmm.
So long story short, we move it to the global approach to regional approaches. So expect to give better and quicker time to market decisions on new products that we are about to launch,
Hmm.
right? But I'm sorry talking too long on those questions, but there's no easy answer
No, not at all. No, no, it's a good level of detail.
because the concept of supply chain and how do we manage inventories and blah blah blah, this is the same, but
Hmm.
with different people managing that and different cultures absorbing that as well.
I wonder if there are any advice or practical tips that you could share in the area of supply management from your time working across, many different pharmaceutical companies, teaching supply chain management. What would you say the most common mistakes are that you see people make when they're trying to develop supply chain strategies, supply relationship? How should they overcome it?
Yeah, during my keynotes and presentations, I used to give some tips on that.
Mm,
One that I like very much, it's about paddleball.
okay.
I live in Brazil. We do love to spend some time at the beach, sunny place,
Mm,
very, uh, very nice people, and so. And we do like to play paddleball at the beach,
mhm.
right? So, look, tell me, what's the difference between paddleball and tennis?
I suppose the amount of clothes you wear, perhaps. Yeah, certainly when I've been to Wimbledon, it doesn't look quite like, playing on the beach.
No, the point's that when we play paddleball, there's no net, right?
Mm,
Less clothes for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
But the objective is to keep playing. It's
Mm,
we play for the fun of the game. When you play tennis, your objective is to beat your adversary. So you give
mhm,
them
mhm.
very, I would say, bad balls,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so they are very difficult to reach. Playing paddle balls, it's about giving good balls to your partner, so they can give good balls back to you.
Mm,
You know, and the fun of the game is this one: is to keep playing. In several companies, we say, hey, let's send this to our supplier and let's wait for some answer or some solution. So I'm giving a bad ball to my partner, expecting to receive a good ball back. You know,
mm. Interesting.
so many companies still do something like this. They should think of quite in the contrary. What can I do the best for my supplier so they can give their best to us? This is the point. Can I help them in the correct planning with a good forecast? Can I help them in understanding why their prices have increased so much? How can I help them? Can I change something in the production process to make their less costly for them? How can we as companies can support our suppliers?
Mm,
So how can I give good balls and then can give better balls back to us?
mm.
Many companies say, "Hey, this is not our problem. This is with our supplier." No, 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 no. This continues to be your problem sitting on your supplier's lap. This is the point,
Mhm,
you know.
mhm.
So one company do need to change the way that they approach their suppliers and really work on a more collaborative way.
And what's 2025 looking like for you, Lewis? I mean, going into it, have you got any particular priorities, particular initiatives which you think need to be tackled?
I used to say that following a bullwhip effect caused by the pandemic back in 2020, we are just moving out of the situation. And 2023, or even on the early this year, we faced some issues related to raw material supply due to the
Mm,
variations that we faced. And this has been a year of stabilization. I think that 2025 will be a tough year in terms of economics.
hmm.
We faced some new elections in different countries. This, of course, affects economics in
Yep.
different ways. We have so many moving parts going on in the Midwest. We have 16 wars ongoing right now.
Oh,
We have
really?
16 conflicts. Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
we can name them, but we have 16 conflicts going on. This really affects everything. It might affect logistics, and you see, no plane is allowed over Ukraine, so
Mm,
it's somehow difficult the air traffic. The same happening in Midwest region. It might affect something on logistics, global logistics.
mm.
Okay, so it will be a very challenging year with pressure on costs, with a marketing heavily informed and always challenging us companies in terms of new products and everything.
Mm.
On top of that, one company must be aware of the sustainability and all the topics related to that. The pharmaceutical companies produces 4.4% of the global CO2 footprint.
Hmm.
It's huge, huge. We ever thought that we were so complex like that? When we talk about emissions, we think about all that smoke in the air and blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
But hey, pharmaceutical companies have a huge impact on that.
Mm.
I'll give you just one very interesting example. Do you know how many liters of vaccine we transport on a 747 plane that
No idea.
goes? 56 liters.
Hmm.
So 56 liters, it's something that you can handle in your both hands, probably, in
Yeah.
two
Yeah.
drums or so. But they're packaged in very small vials, and this takes a full plane to be transported between Brazil and US, or
Oh.
Brazil and Colombia or Italy, I don't know. 56 liters. The
Mm.
rest, all the other cargo, it's about paper and plastic and everything that goes with that.
Yeah.
It makes no sense, you know? So this is part of what we will have to deal in 2025.
That feels like a very clear problem to solve.
Yeah, it's a very clear problem to solve. It's you know, it's shocking when we face the real numbers, right?
Mm.
So I think that 2025 will consolidate as one year of where companies will have to strive for better performance, better use of natural resources, and better way to manage their resources and their people, for sure.
How do you go about balancing all of those costs and sustainability and resilience due to geopolitics and all the issues around the world? I mean, that's a real balancing act. Do you have to have different scenario plans? How are you going into the year?
We don't have plans for that, but we must look for innovation. The,
Mm,
the, the answer relies on innovative ways and breakthrough ways of doing things. If we keep thinking with the mindset that we have, if I keep using my 30 years old mindset of that, I will continue doing the same.
mhm.
That's why I must rely on new people, new mindset, new perspective, new ways of thinking to help us, sorry, to help us in doing that.
Mm.
And be open to discussions, be open to solutions. Hey, okay, I need to move 60 kilograms or 60 liters of vaccine between one country to the other. Hey, let's be more reasonable. Let's take all the effort that we have today in packaging this in Brazil and send it to Pakistan. Let's build up a new plant in Pakistan.
Mhm.
So this is the point. And of course, yeah, but all the investment that we have, the return on investment, yes, you're thinking just in terms of money, capital. But when you consider other topics like how many people I need to move 60 kilograms or 60 liters of vaccine, how many planes, how how much packaging, and how much effort, this is not just money. It's
Mm.
broader than that. So that's why we need to rely different mindsets to that.
Very interesting.
Okay?
Thank you. One final question. As you reflect on your career to date, how fulfilling have you found working in pharma, working in life sciences? Do you feel as though your work is making an impact on people?
Yes, definitely, definitely.
Mm.
Well, I think that this is very important. I have worked on other controversial companies before, and I just noticed that if you if you don't like the product that you're producing, or if you don't believe in that product, hey, things is not going to work.
Mm.
You can tell people that okay, uh, I produced something that I would not use. Hey, this is not of a trustful behavior, you know.
Mm.
So the points that I always use it, all the products uh, 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 I produced or sold, and probably that's why I ever worked for Victoria's Secrets. Right? But but it's important to get this connection to your product and to use that. So
Mm.
I do believe that we change people's lives. This is the point,
Mm.
and uh, it's important to have this feeling. If I make my products reach in the market at the right time, I might be saving someone's life. This is critical,
Yep.
you
Yep.
know. I might be helping people in having, I would say, better treatments for their skin. And that Bayer used to say, hunger for none, health for all.
Mm.
Meaning, we have all that our crops business with seeds and helping implantation, helping feeding people, you know, and we also helping them in terms of the medicines that we produce, the drugs, and the consumer health products that makes people live a better life. Sure.
Mhm. Great.
Okay.
Lewis, wonderful speaking today. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Luke. Very nice opportunity to talk on that and to share some concepts and ideas. And of course, this discussion might take the whole day. And as we say here in Brazil, we can sit on a bar with some beer and have a very nice talking.
I'll see you there. I'll see you in Rio for Carnival.
Oh, this is a great time for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much.
Experience the future of contract manufacturing at CDMO Live 2025. Join us at the World Trade Centre Rotterdam on May the 7th and 8th, 2025 for an exclusive event that brings together the sharpest minds in biopharma outsourcing. For 2 days filled with market insights, best practices and partnering. Early bird tickets are now available, so head to cdmolive.com to download the agenda and to book your ticket.